Get ready for the case of the sniffles.
He writes letters.
Who are they to?
Howard doesn't write letters to people. He writes to things. Time, love, death.
Welcome back, guys. I just watched Collateral Beauty, and boy was it an emotional ride. This film stars Will Smith as a advertising executive manager, and he is going through a really hard time because he just lost a child. And alongside him, you have three of his best friends who are really worried about him, the company, and his well-being. Those friends being Edward Norton, Kate Winslet, and Michael Pena. The way that Will Smith grieves in this movie is that he writes letters, but he doesn't write letters to just people. He writes letters to things. And those things being time, love, and death. And in the beginning of the movie, he says that, these three things are what connects people to each other and what makes a person be human. And in the trailers, if you haven't seen the trailers, you see them interact with Will Smith, and they're trying to help him come back to the person that he was, help him grieve from the loss of his child. So the entire movie, you'll see them interact with the friends and Will Smith mainly because he's the person that's grieving the most. Now, I haven't seen these actors in many films, but they represent time, death, and love really good. Helen Mirren was fantastic. She brought a lot of dark humor to the movie, which was really needed in some cases, and it worked so well for me. Keira Knightley was really good as well. I like her portrayal of love and her interactions with Edward Norton's character Whit, and I like them together a lot. Now, I've never seen Jacob Latimore act, but him as Time was fantastic. Like, there was a scene with Will Smith in particular that just left me amazed leaving the movie. One thing that I like about the movie is that each of his friends interact with time, death, and love individually. That way it brings their character out more, and you get to see, what they're going through in their life as well. Now, the pace of the movie for me was perfect. In the beginning, they don't show much, but then throughout the movie, they reveal a little by little to see, where they are in their life and, how it's affected them. There are a lot of touching scenes in this movie, so it gets pretty emotional. Will Smith in particular does a fantastic job. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a nomination for the Oscar. Edward Norton in the movie was fantastic as well. I liked him a lot. You do get a lot of screen time from him. It almost felt like he had more screen time than Will Smith at times, but his portrayal of the best friend in this case was really good. The transitions from scene to scene were good because they weren't boring or rushed. The interactions between the friends and the beings were really good and intriguing. There's a lot of twists in the movie, so make sure to keep up with that because they throw so many things at you to try to confuse you, which kind of works for me, but sometimes it was a little bit too confusing. But it does it on purpose, so that way in the end it ties it up. And the way they do the ending was so good. They tied it up so well. And it's been a long time since I haven't left the movie with the way that I left this one, because I was so satisfied with the ending. The way that everything built up from beginning to end was such a great feeling. And the whole theater was feeling this emotion of happiness and sadness at the same time, because a lot of things happen throughout the movie between the friends. And without giving anything away, you will feel so many emotions because this movie is an emotional roller coaster. So make sure to bring a tissue box or something if you get emotional in movies. There are some things I could nitpick, but it's nothing that I'm gonna care about after the movie. That was just me being nitpicky as hell. You might understand once you watch the movie, but I guess that helps with the way that these things are being portrayed to Will Smith, that being time, love, and death. And I think the ending was fantastic. I keep repeating it, but that was probably my favorite part. The build up to the very end. The very end was so touching. A lot of people were sniffling around. I just looked around the theater just to see, how many people were feeling the same way I was. And nobody wants to see somebody cry, but in this case, this movie was so good that I actually felt people around me feeling the same thing I was, and they were very moved by this film. So I tried not to spoil the movie. I don't think I did. So what do I think? I definitely give this movie a 5 out of 5 because it was fantastic. I recommend it to anybody that likes movies like this, or just anybody in particular who hasn't seen a movie like this in a long time, because I know I haven't. And I definitely enjoyed this movie. Will Smith was fantastic. I hope he gets a nomination. This movie was a roller coaster of emotions. And come on, we always need a good cry, right? But as always, leave any comments down below for any movie suggestions for holidays, or any upcoming movies for the new year. Like this video and subscribe to my channel for more. But until next time, guys, stay tuned.
Who did you write the letter to?
I wrote the letter to Death.
Nice to meet you. They're charmed, I'm sure.
Nope.